ॐ सहनाववतु सहनो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति. In Aitareya Upanishad, Pratham Adhyaya, in that Tritiya Khanda, contemplation on who am I. Now the lokas were created, the Srishti was created, Jivas were created, Devatas were created. Now who am I? The basic question. Pratham verse. Sa ikshate me nu lokascha lokapalaschanna mebhyah sruja iti. He contemplated thus. Here are the worlds and the guardians of the worlds. Now let food be created for them. So the lokas were created, the worlds, lokpalas were created, and their anna, their food. So apo abhyata pattabhyo abhitaptabhyo murti rajayata yavai sa murti rajaya tannam vai tat. Meaning, he performed intense tapa on the apaha. From this intense tapa, there emerged a form. This form, so emerged, was indeed food. So this food, this is the process. The apaha, that is the primordial fluid, the plasmic fluid, and from there the solidification through tapa, through warmth, through austerity, through the process. That process itself is tapa, or heating, or some kind of heating. That process solidified it, and then a form emerged, and that form is the food for lokpalas and everything. Now there is a process in many Siddha traditions. You might have heard that some people, there is a process, using that process, mercury is usually in the liquid form, but with that process maybe some sulfuric elements are added with that process. I'm talking in terms of chemical composition. So if some sulfur or sulfur elements are added to mercury through that process, mantrochar, pranapratishtha, this whole process solidifies mercury, and they create Shivlinga, which is known as Parada Shivlinga. Not sphatic. Sphatic is crystal, but this is mercury, solidified mercury. And so the process is, there are some herbs they use, mix with it, and the whole process with mantrochar, so that mercury can solidify and can take a form. And they make Shivalinga with this process. And it is very powerful, very powerful.
Where are they found, these Shivalingas?
Even some online stores, they also sell. It's called Para the Shivling.
Is that Paro Shivling?
Paro Shivling, right. We have one, right?
Yes, we do.
Parol's father got it very long ago from somewhere, and he passed on that legacy to her. So it's very small. There is a Siddha yogi, I forgot his name, his appellation. I think his title is Yogi Raj Siddharaj, and he has this mandir in Pune. He has ashram, and in this ashram he has this mandir of Shivlinga. That Shivlinga is a Parad Shivlinga. It's, I think, 3 feet tall, that big, made up of 100% mercury, and it's very, very powerful. I haven't visited the place. I have seen video and photo, but it's very powerful. So it, I think, resembles whatever is mentioned here. that apaha, the primordial fluid, which is like a mercury, it's a fluid, but do the tapa, the austerity process, and that method solidifies and creates a form, a murti, and that is Shivalinga. So I think this represents the creation, and the first form that emerged from it is Shivalinga. It is not mentioned here that Murti is Shivalinga, but the word used here is Murti from that fluid, that apaha. So that Murti, naturally, it cannot have, we can give any form, but the most basic form is Shivalinga. So that's how that Murti must be. Third verse, Tadenat srushtam parantya जिघांसत्तद्वाचा अजिघृक्षत तन्ना शक्नोद्वाचा ग्रहीतुम स यद्धैन द्वाचा अग्रहिष्यदभिव्याह्योत्य हैवान्नमत्रस्यत. Meaning, these on being created seem to escape or away from Lokapala. So he tried to seize it with speech, but he was not able to grasp it with speech. Indeed, had he grasped it with speech, then merely uttering the word food would satisfy. So now food is created, but how to access it, how to use it, that is a question. So that Param Purush, Vairat Purush or Viraj Purush, he tried to use speech, Vani, but that Vani couldn't control that food. Food is kept. It could not go within and could not nourish the Param Purush. And Rishi here says that if that process would have happened, then we might not be eating anything. We might just be saying food, say banana, and we would feel or get nourishment by just uttering that word. And that was not possible because it was not possible in the beginning. Whatever happens in the beginning, meaning at the start of the Srushti creation, it still continues and we still follow all those rules. We cannot escape those rules. So whatever we feel, whatever we think, whatever we consume, whatever we act, these are all decided at the time of creation. And even science says something like that because our universe, we say that there are 3 dimensions, there is 4th dimension of time, there is equilibrium of electromagnetic waves and gravitation, and this is how the whole world is created, because the laws were created at the time of creation, because those laws were present at that time, and that's how it evolved. If we go to a different universe, that universe might have been born with different rules, quite possible, and those rules would be applicable to that universe only, not to our universe. But our universe is like this, and that's exactly what this Upanishad mentions.
One question though.
Yes.
So I was thinking, you remember when we were talking about souls, that they think about some food and they are able to consume it.
Right.
So that form, they don't need the physical, that actual food, but they think about it and
They just, it's about soul, right?
Yeah.
So when Atma departs body, they think that they are eating because that's the only thing they know. So their mind, their mental process would tell them, okay, you got the food.
But they don't need nourishment.
They don't need, because they don't have body.
We are creating, so
Yes.
it is needed at that
Correct.
time
Because we exist, and we exist per the laws of the universe.
yeah.
When we leave this body, then we are out of the laws of this universe. So as long as we are part of the universe, we are in the physical level or physical layer of the universe, we have to abide by the physical laws of the universe. Fourth verse, tat pranena jigrukshat तन्ना शक्नोत प्राणेन ग्रहीतुं स यद्धेनत प्राणेना ग्रहीष्य दभिप्राण्य हैवान matrapsyat. Meaning, then he tried to seize it with prana, but he was not able to grasp it with prana. Indeed, had he grasped it with prana, then merely breathing food would satisfy. So Lokpala couldn't get the food by just speaking or uttering the word. Now Virat Purush could not breathe the food. We breathe the food, it does something reverse. If we are hungry, the hunger intensifies by just smell of the food. But if the Virat Purush could consume food with just smell, then that would be sufficient for us. But it's not, because the law was created that we cannot consume food with smell. Otherwise, all would be done. World would be better or worse, don't know, right? Fifth verse. Tat chakshusha ajigrukshat tanna shaknot chakshusha grahitum sa yadhe na chakshusha agrahishyad drishtva haivana matrapsyat. Meaning, then he tried to seize it with the eyes, but he was not able to grasp it with the eyes. Indeed, had he grasped it with the eyes, then merely looking at food would satisfy. Same thing, if by just looking at the food we would be satisfied, or the Virat Purush would be satisfied, then we might not need to consume it. By just looking at would be good. And exactly reverse or opposite happens. If we look at the food, the hunger is created. Especially true with the kids. Even though they consume something, they are full, still if they look at something that they like, they want to eat it.
I feel it's the opposite in my case. I eat more than my daughter does. She
Yes.
just knows I have done, even
Right,
if she likes
right.
it, but I am the one who does the extra.
Well, yes. Yeah, modern or American way of I think this is the generation, right? That new generation. They want to consume processed food, they want to consume, I call it trash. They like that more. But they don't want to consume something healthy or nourishing. But we are grown up, we grew up with that type of food. We had access to processed food, but very limited, right?
Yeah.
So, and sometimes what I feel is it's a habit. Even eating is a habit. Because of that habit, we eat, we consume food. We sometimes forget that whether our body needs that food or not.
Yeah.
But because that habit is created, our mind is fixated into that. And that's why it's important that if we control mind, we can avoid certain things. A very good story related to that. I think I told that story once. The context was different. Ramakrishna Paramahansa, he used to eat jalebis a lot. And some disciple asked him, you are a Siddha, Ishvara Koti Purush, and still you act like a little child when you see jalebi. What's the secret or what's the thing behind it? Then Ramakrishna said, that's the only thing that keeps me in this body. If, remember, when somebody offers me jalebi and if I don't consume, consider that my last day. And that's exactly how it happened. Till then he would consume, he had throat cancer, but he would consume jalebi or sweets anytime. But on his last day, he said no. Then whoever remembered that story knew that this is his last day. But that's again habit or liking or the way we consume food. There are some stories in Bhagavad Puran also related to food. I think a small child who liked to eat jaggery or curd a lot, but that is not good, right? If we do ati of anything, ati sarvatra varjayat, if we just keep eating one type of thing, over the time it becomes poisonous. So everything must be in balance. So that child's mother started having concerns about that. So she approached some Mahatma, and that Mahatma looked at the boy and said, "Come back after 15 days, then we'll talk." No. This is a Bhagavad story. So after 15 days, mother and child came, and then the Mahatma explained that child, okay, these are the things, and you must avoid eating a lot. Just consume a little once in a while. Then mother asked, you could say the same thing 15 days back. Mahatma said, I also had the same habit. I had to stop first. Sixth verse. Tachhotrena jigrukshat tanna shaknot chotrena grahitum sa yaddainat chotrena grahishyat shrutvam hevanna matrapsyat. Meaning, then he tried to seize it with the ears, but he was not able to grasp it with the ears. Indeed, had he grasped it with ears, then merely hearing food would satisfy. Same thing happened with the ears. Just listening to that word for food, nothing happened. And exactly opposite happens. When we hear, oh, there is prasad, there is Mahaprasad, laddu, this, that, we just get attracted. Seventh, tatvacha ajigrukshat tanna shaknotvacha grahitum sa yaddainatvacha agrahyashyat spruštva haivanna matrapsyat. Meaning, then he tried to seize it with the skin, but he was not able to grasp it with the skin. Indeed, had he grasped it with the skin, then merely touching food would satisfy. How beneficial would it be? Just touching food would satisfy hunger and get nourishment. But opposite. Yeah. 8th verse. Tan manasa ajigrukshat tanna shaknun manasa grahitum sa yadainan manasa agrahyashyat dhyatva haivanna matrapsyat. Meaning, then he tried to seize it with the mind, but he was not able to grasp it with the mind. Indeed, had he grasped it with the mind, then merely thinking of food would satisfy. So even using mind did the opposite. There are many siddhas, even with their physical body, they can consume anything by mind. There are many stories around it. But I think whatever siddhi they attain, it goes beyond the physical nature of the world. And that's why they can fulfill anything with mind. They get that siddhi. Even they think of, say, a palace, then palace would appear, or anything is possible with that mind. Because if we look at anything around us, it's basically the process happening in mind. It's not the reality. When I say this is banana, somebody told me that this is banana, and I started believing it, that this is banana. And everybody around me started believing it, oh, this is banana. We just gave a label. The object is different from others, its texture, its color, taste, everything is different from, say, apple or orange. But it's ultimately the mind that decides, oh, this is banana. This object is called banana, and it will create something in me. Somebody might like it more than others because their minds are habituated like that. Somebody would stay away from banana because their mind is habituated like that. So ultimately it comes to how we control our mind. So even say we are very hungry, think of a situation, very hungry. You are with your child. There is only one banana available. It would satisfy only one of you. Then your hunger automatically goes down. You think about your child. Let him or her have that banana. And you start controlling your mind. So my mind can play something. Even though the body craves for it, but mind can override it. But mind is not sufficient or enough to get nourishment from the same food object, because Virat Purush couldn't consume it by mind. Ninth, tat chishnena jigrukshat tanna shaknotchishnena grahitum sa yaddainat chishnegna grahyeshyat dvithrujya haivana matrapsyat. Meaning, then he tried to seize it with the organ of procreation, but he was not able to grasp it with the organ of procreation. Indeed, had he grasped it with the organ of procreation, then merely emission of food would satisfy. So this goes into the little esoteric or the path of tantra, because organ of procreation, they use it very well. We normal people cannot use it the way they use it. Otherwise, just dropping of food would be enough to get us nourishment, but that's not possible because Virat Purush couldn't do it. 10th, tadapanena jigrukshat tadavayat saisho annasya graho yad vayurana vayur esha yad vayuhu. Then he tried to seize it with apana. Then he was able to grasp it. Thus, the one by which food is grasped is vayu. What is sustaining by food is vayu. So now Virat Purush found a way how to get food, get satisfied with it, and get nourishment of it. So put in the mouth, use the vayu, apana vayu, which is downward. Food pipe is also downward. The muscles, they contract and push it downward. Okay? And that's how even we are sleeping, meaning not sleeping, but we are just lying down, we can still consume food because the downward motion is not controlled via gravitation. It's more of a muscular compression, decompression. So that always goes downward in the path of apana vayu. And that's why vayu is the one that allows us to consume food, because Virat Purush, whatever he did, we are just following that. All the jivas, any animal, any bird, any tiny bacteria, virus, anything. So their downward motion, apana vayu, is the way to consume food in our universe. 11th, sa ikshata katham ninvindam mandate syaditi sa ikshata katarena prapadya iti. Sa ikshata yadi vacha abhivyayutam yadi pranenabhi pranitam yadi chakshusha drushtam yadi shrutrena shrutam yadi tvacha sprushtam yadi manasa dhyatam यद्यपाने नाभ्य पानितं यदि शिश्नेन विसृष्टमथ कोहममिति. Meaning, then he contemplated, how can all these exist without me? He contemplated, how shall I enter? He contemplated, if speech is uttered by the organ of speech, if breathing is performed by prana, if seeing is done by the eyes, if hearing is done by the ears, if feeling is done by the skin, if thinking is done by mind, if digestion is done by apana, and emission by the organ of procreation, then indeed who am I? So now this thought process, that everything is done by various organs. Eyes see it, ears hear it, mouth speaks it, apana vayu digests or takes the food, mind thinks. But these are all various organs. They are just acting upon. But where am I or who am I? I am not in that. And how I entered this body? How am I trapped? Basically. Twelfth verse. Sa etameva सीमानं विदर्यैतया द्वारा प्रापद्यत सैषा विद्यतिर्नाम द्वास्तदेतन्ना अन्नदम् तस्य त्रय आवसथास्त्रयः स्वप्ना अयमावसथो अयमावसथ iti. Meaning, then tearing apart the murdha, highest apex, he entered through that door. That door is known as Vidruti, the split. It is the place of bliss. Indeed, his are three abodes, three conditions of sleep. This abode, and that abode. Now, in this verse, everything physical goes out and Sukshma starts. So, how does Atma enters body? It says Brahmarandra, the top of the skull. Now, if we look at when the child is very young, that top portion is still not developed. It's not solid. It's kind of very smushy, spongy. So we protect that for, I think, up to 11-12 months. I'm not sure exactly what time frame. But during that time, that top part of any child is very weak because brain is still developing. But that is the place where Atma entered. If you look at the top of the skull, there are three different divisions and there is a place where they meet. So that is the split, Vidruti. The word here is Vidruti. And it is called Brahmarandra, it is called Murdha, there are various names. And that's how Atma entered this body. Now Atma can enter from anywhere. Right? Atma it is not bound by this physical body. Atma is Anant, is everywhere. It's everything, infinite. Then why it chose this place? That is the rule. This is the rule of this universe. Might be different from different universes, we don't know. But in our universe, this is how Atma became part of this body. If for the sake of argument, we can say or ask, what about those viral jivas? They are very tiny. Do they have skull? No, but they have some shape, and their skull or whatever we want to call it, the Atma might be entering from there. So this is how Rishi has seen this process. So it's again our belief or faith whether we want to take this as something that we want to believe or we want to argue and not accept it. It's individual choice. But science has no proof yet. There are no means to know that in the fetus, while the development is happening, Atma enters through this Brahmarandra. But this is the basic notion throughout our Sanskriti, Sanatan, that if some Siddha Purush or Mahatma, when they leave body, they leave through Brahmarandra. That's how we know that their Gati is Urdhva and they attain moksha or nirvana. That's what we say. They leave the body through Brahmarandra. And for us, or some Ashtanga Yoga path, the topmost is Sahasrara, 1000 petal lotus. And at the center, in Bhagavad Gita, the word used is Kutastha. So at the center, between two ears and between two eyebrows. So try to imagine that spot in the middle of the skull. Between two ears, draw a line, and from the middle, draw a line to the back. And wherever those two lines meet, that place is Kutastha. Modern science tells it pituitary gland. So that's the place. Some time ago, I read a news. I didn't read the full research paper, but just excerpt a summary which talks about piezoelectric effect in that place. So piezoelectric, if you know physics, what happens is it's a special crystal in our watches, the analog watches. When you hear quartz clock or quartz watch, that quartz is a crystal. That crystal is put into the watches or clocks. So whenever it gets electric signal, electric pulse, it creates pressure, and the minute hand, second hand, they just rotate. Opposite is also true. If that piezoelectric, if there is a pressure given to it, it will do reverse. It will generate electric pulse. Electric pulse can create pressure. Pressure can create electric pulse. Both is possible with piezoelectric crystals, quartz crystals. So they say that in the middle of the skull where pituitary gland is, it acts like a piezoelectric crystal. So if it is squeezed, compressed, expanded, it will generate electrical pulse. And if electrical pulse is given to it, it will create pressure. So I think this goes into the direction that all our Siddhas, Ashtanga Yoga tradition talks about it. Always try to use Ajna Chakra for dhyana, because that is the command center. It commands everything for us. So try to activate that. Activate meaning if we try to concentrate in that area, that should be creating some kind of pressure and would create some kind of electrical signals in brain that we are not much aware or we haven't detected. But I think if science started going in that direction, maybe in few years we'll hear more about it. Even at least some scientists, some neurologists consider that place as a receptor, antenna, that it receives information from somewhere. So it must be in the form of electromagnetic waves. So those waves must be creating something. So these are all, matter of debate and further experiments. But our rishis, they knew exactly what to do. They had all the steps, and they also gave us results that if you do this, you will feel this, you will have this experience, you will have this connection. So all these are already mentioned and written. It's up to us whether we want to have faith in that or not accept it. But similar thing is mentioned here. So in this Kutastha place, Atma entered, and it says that there are three abodes, and we know Sthula Sharir, Sukshma Sharir, and Karan Sharir. Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha. So these are different koshas, and these are the layers, and those layers where Atma resides. We can say three different basic distinctions. So the lowest is Manipura Chakra, fourth is Anahata Chakra, and seventh is Sahasrara. So these are three different divisions of the body because they control different aspects. If we look at Manipura Chakra, that is physical body, it controls or governs physical body, and Vignaharta Ganapati lives there, and that's why we pray, or Ganapati is always prayed first. We always do first puja. Fourth is Anahata Chakra, our Hridaya, heart, where Jagat Pita or Vishnu, Narayan resides, who holds everything, who controls everything. That is our Sukshma Sharir. And Sahasrar, Shiva, meaning live, nirvana, and complete. What is it? Infinite. It's total dissolution. Be one with infinite. Yes. So that is Shiva. So the Rishi hasn't used any words here, but it could mean that. So Srushti, Palan, Parivartan. I wouldn't say Vinash because Vinash is the beginning of something new. So I would call it Srushti, meaning Srujan, new creation, then Palan, and then Parivartan. So creation always happens from the lower body part. That's how we are born. In the middle, if we know little bit biology or physiology, there is a thymus gland in the heart chakra. So that thymus gland, it is called second mother. Mother always nourishes a child, but that thymus gland is active for the first 4 or 5 years of child. It tries to protect against all the infections, tries to protect against any, let's say there is a wound or cut, it heals. So all these properties are thymus gland, attributed to thymus gland. So it's like a second mother to a child. So that kind of holds Palana, Poshana, all those attributes. And then Parivartan, the way we entered, now we are going back from the same path so that we can be infinite again, because we are forgetting who we are. That's why this is body, that's why we take birth. But once we reach there back in this life, then there is no coming back. Then we are again one with the one, Purna. So till then, whatever our stage or state is, we come back with that. So this is how the first time we are born, through Brahmarandra, our Kundalini Shakti, or whatever we want to name it, whatever the process, whatever the tradition. Even Bhakti Marg, it talks about Dvaita Bhav, then Vishishta Advait and Advait. So these are various margs, Gnan, Karma, Kriya and Bhakti. So if we combine all four, this is how we want to go back to that state, so that we become one with that infinite Brahma. So that is the process. And that's because this is how the Srushti is created. This is how the Param Purush, first Purush, entered this body. So we are just following that rule. 13th verse. Sajato bhutanyabhi vyekhyat kimi hanya vavadisha diti sa etameva purusham brahma tata mama pashyat idama darshana miti. Meaning, on his being born, all beings are manifested. Indeed, who else can we talk about here but him? In that very Purusha, I see Brahma, that invisible one. So when Param Purush, Prajapita Brahma, or Virat Purush, he was created, he was born out of that Vishnu Nabhi. Everything is created. This world came into existence. We might not be there, but some form of basic elements started appearing, and this process started, evolution started, and this is how we are. Some people don't believe in evolution. They always cite that okay, everything was created at the same time. There is no proof yet. We don't know. But current theory in science is there is an evolution, and that's how it looks very logical so far. It could be different, we don't know. But here it is clearly said all beings are manifested. So then the question is, where were we? If everything was created together, then the earth from the day one, why didn't have humans? Right? That is the question. So Bhagavad Gita says that when there is a arambha of Srishti, all the beings are manifested from their laya, their unmanifest state. When the night comes, all manifest beings go back to unmanifest in a different dimension. So that could be right. We all come from that Vishnu Nabhi along with Prajapita Brahma. Our Atma are created various even though Atma is one, but there are centers. So we are different centers. Those centers or kendras were created at the same time when Prajapita Brahma was created. But we did not take the form. We lived somewhere in different dimension. When time came, when Earth and different locus, other planets were viable for physical life, we started appearing. We were always there, but we started getting different forms from unmanifest to manifest. And when we die, leave this body, we again go back to unmanifest. Take birth again from unmanifest to manifest. So this is the process. Now we don't know what that unmanifest is. We do not have access to that yet. Some rishis, some siddhas, they know and they experience all that. So we have to believe that and have faith. Fourteenth verse. Tasmadidandro namedandro havai nama tamedandram santamindra ityachakshate parokshena parokshapriya iva hi devaha parokshapriya iva hi devaha. Meaning, he is named Idandra. Idandra is indeed his name. The one who is Idandra is called Indra cryptically or indirectly. The gods are fond of riddles indeed. The gods are fond of riddles indeed. So who we call Indra, the Raja of Devas or Deva of Devas. Indra, original name of Indra is Idandra, not Indra. And Idandra meaning I saw, I had darshan. So whoever was the first, the Param Purush, Adhideva saw this creation. And the Sanskrit word for that is Idandra, meaning I saw, I had darshan. But Rishis, not Rishis, Devas, other Devas like riddle, puzzle, cryptic nature or paroksha, not direct. So they shortened that name and it became Indra, so that we forget the real meaning, so that we forget the real process. Because when we, instead of Indra, if we call it Idandra, then we would know that Idandra meaning the first darshan or somebody who saw it, or Parampita or Brahma. So now when they use this word Indra, we thought, oh, Indra is different from Brahma or Parampurush. But they are one in the same. But just because of this change in name from Idandra to Indra, we forget that connection. We forget the originality or meaning of who he was. And then all the different stories. Purana is very much about Indra being a greedy, envious, jealous person. Right? That's how Puranas depict him. Even all the TV series, Indra is very, very selfish, right? It wasn't like that. Indra himself was Idandra, meaning Prajapita, Deva of Devas, the first Deva. Then how could he be such low? Vedas never talk about anything wrong about Indra. Indra is the highest. Indra gave power to sun. Indra gave power to Agni. Indra gave power to Vayu. Indra is the center and the most powerful. And Indra is Shiva or Rudra. At many places it is mentioned in Rigveda. So whoever we call Mahadev is Indra, meaning Idandra, meaning Brahma, Param Purush, Narayan, Aditya, whoever, whatever name we want to give it. So Purana, when these stories are mentioned, say take any Purana, there are 900,000 pages, right? But out of these 1,000 pages, some 100 pages, they all talk about what we just hear here. They go back to the root, Upanishad and Vedas. But they was like riddle, puzzle. So all these stories are created as puzzle. But modern human, oh, this is story, this is right. How can this be true? So they forget about those 100 pages. Those 100 pages of information is scattered everywhere, scattered among stories. But we forget that real meaning. We just enjoy the stories. But if we study by ourselves, because we go to Bhagavad Saptah, in that Saptah it's like a entertainment, right? We go for entertainment, not for knowledge. Do bhajan, do some arti, listen to the stories, have prasad, go home. But even those who does Bhagavad Saptah, they do not mention about these real or hidden gems in the Puranas. Every Purana talks about it's one and the same. Call it Brahma, call it Vishnu, call it Mahadev, call it Indra, call it Adya Shakti, call it Paramatma, call it Parbrahma, call it Atma, call it Brahma. Whatever you want to call it, it's one and the same. And these are just the stories, so that it's like Maya. So we indulge into Maya but forget about the real essence of that. So Indra is Idandra, that is the real meaning or original name. So we can stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.